The Battle of Sekigahara was approaching like an ominous storm, poised to shake the bedrock of feudal Japan. The year was 1600, and the country was torn apart, with the Toyotomi and Tokugawa clans disputing supreme power. On one hand, the Toyotomi, led by Hideyori, son and heir of the late Toyotomi unifier, Hideyoshi. On the other, Tokugawa Ieyasu, a shrewd and ambitious feudal lord, bent on capturing control of Japan for himself. Between the two clans, tension was spreading, flaring up the ambitions of samurai and feudal lords throughout Japan. This was a shifting period of alliances and betrayals, where loyalty was tested by the sword. Driven by a fierce desire to prove his worth, Takezo decided to join the forces of the Western Army, allied to the Toyotomi. He enlisted under the Shinmen clan banner, led by Ukita Hideye, one of the most powerful and loyal feudal lords in Hideyori's service. The Shinmen were famed for their bravery and skill in combat, with Takezo seeing them as an exciting opportunity to fight alongside seasoned warriors and make his mark on the battlefield. Takezo's decision to join the Shinmen clan was not just a matter of chance. He felt a deep admiration for Ukita Hideye, a leader who epitomized loyalty, courage, and honor, which the young samurai fought for himself. The clan's ties to his paternal family, using the name Shinmen, also shared by his father, reinforced his sense of belonging and his desire to fight for a greater cause. Sekigahara was the ideal platform for him to show the world his sword skills and achieve the glory he longed for. He felt that his fate was inextricably woven with the fate of Japan, with his sword shaping the country's future. The morning sun had hardly risen when both armies met on the Sekigahara plain. The cold fog of dawn still blanketed the battlefield, forming a ghostly atmosphere that heralded the horror to come. The tension-filled silence was broken only by the clanking of armor, the neighing of horses, and the whispered orders of commanders. Among the throng of samurai, Takezo felt the heart pounding in his chest. A primitive and inevitable feeling of fear tried to overwhelm him, but he suppressed it with the sheer force of his will. Adrenaline rushed through his veins, piquing his senses and readying him for combat. The sound of roaring cannons burst the silence, hurling iron balls across the sky and exploding among the enemy troops. The earth trembled underfoot, and gunpowder smoke mingled with the mist, obscuring the battlefield. War cries echoed everywhere as samurai clashed in a turmoil of steel and wrath. The clanking of swords joined the pain cries and wails of the dying. The smell of blood and gunpowder pervaded the air, making for a sickening and terrifying atmosphere. Wielding his sword, Takezo threw himself into the fight with the savagery of a hungry wolf. He moved with agility, ducking enemy blows and counterattacking with precision. He danced with his sword, expertly trained through years of discipline, making his way through the carnage. While the battle records do not document his deeds in detail, fragmentary accounts mention the bravery of a young samurai who fought with a demon's fury. His sword was said to be merciless, tearing down enemies like dry leaves in the wind. There were even whispers that he had the strength of a tengu, a legendary mountain spirit capable of superhuman feats. One tale spoken in murmurs by survivors described Takezo facing a band of enemy samurai alone, protecting the rear of his troops. He was fast as lightning, his sword cutting through armor and flesh with a surgeon's precision. He was said to have struck down 7 enemies before receiving a wound to the arm. Hurt but not crushed, Takezo kept fighting, inspired by loyalty to his clan and the will to survive. The battle went on for hours, a ghoulish dance of death and destruction. But the fate of the battle was already sealed. Ieyasu's betrayals and strategic ploys crippled the Western Army, which found itself at a numerical and strategic disadvantage. Defeat was looming. The once lush plains of Sekigahara were now carpeted with corpses, a grotesque mass of death and destruction. The shattered and demoralized Western Army was yielding to the Tokugawa. Wounded and depleted, Takezo found himself in the middle of the stampede. The defeat was embittering, a blow to his pride and ambitions. He had fought bravely, but the victory he had so longed for slipped through his fingers. The burden of uncertainty was worse than the defeat itself. The Tokugawa had captured the feudal lord Ukita Hideye. His fate was unclear, as was the future of the Shinmin clan. Takezo was alone, a masterless ronin with no purpose, drifting through a country that was now bowing to a new power. The consequences of defeat were unforgiving. The disbanded Shinmin clan lost its lands and privileges. Condemned to exile, Ukita Hideye ended his life as a Buddhist monk. His military glory turned to dust. Scarred by the battle and the loss of his clan, Takezo was struck by a dilemma. To whom did he now owe his loyalty? To the Toyotomi, whose cause had been trampled underfoot, or to the Tokugawa, the new rulers of Japan? His heart was wrenched between loyalty to the past and the need to survive in a new world. Ukita Hideye, a leader he admired, stood in stark contrast to Tokugawa Ieyasu, the ruthless victor. The defeat at Sekigahara and the breakup of the Shinmin clan forced Takezo to come to terms with the frailty of loyalty in a world where ambition and betrayal reigned supreme. He needed to forge his own path, establish his values, and choose his destiny in a war-torn Japan. The dilemma tormented him for years, shaping his philosophy and his quest for a fighting style that surpassed the limitations of tradition and blind loyalty. Sekigahara was more than a military defeat for Takezo. It was a harsh awakening to the world's reality. Blind loyalty, battle glory, the promises of a thriving future under the banner of a powerful clan, all faded like smoke when faced with the ruthless reality of defeat. Drifting aimlessly along the dusty roads of Japan, Takezo bore the battle scars and the pounding uncertainty. Takuan's words rang in his mind. True strength lies not only in the muscles, but in the mind. He would need to find a new purpose, a path that would allow him to provide meaning to his life in a world that appeared to have lost its way. The Sekigahara experience sowed the seeds of a pragmatic and individualistic philosophy in Takezo. Defeat taught him that allegiance to a clan or feudal lord could be fleeting, and that glory in battle was often a fleeting illusion. He understood that true strength resided in the ability to adapt, to overcome adversity, and to find within oneself the resolve to carry on, even when all appeared lost. Once viewed as an instrument of war and a quest for glory, the sword turned into a self-knowledge and self-improvement tool. Takezo started to look to the sword not only for mastery of technique, but also for mental discipline and inner balance. Decided to walk his own path, Takezo left behind the name of his youth and took on the identity that would immortalize him, Miyamoto Musashi, a name that symbolized a break with the past, the pursuit of a new identity, and the commitment to becoming a one-of-a-kind samurai, free from the chains of tradition and politics. Miyamoto Musashi's legend, the invincible samurai, had only just begun.